So basically the same setup as last time I was live, except I don't have a deck. I don't know why I just got so nervous. I feel like my heart's starting to race. What's happening? Anyway, when Rob unboxed it, he was like, "These cards are so big, you're not gonna do a 20 card spread with them." And I was like, "Challenge received, challenge accepted." So I was like, "Oh, like let me do a spread." It's BYOD for bring your own deck, build your own deck. Yeah, sure, do that too. I'm gonna ask Siri to roll a D10. If the number is 10, then we're gonna build a spread and then read it. If it's 1 through 9, then I'll read one of the corresponding spreads that I have. I put reversals in the Angel Tarot and Occult Tarot because sometimes we as people think that something is one thing, but it might actually be something else. And anything can be the influence behind that. I already shuffled these before I hit the button, but I'm going to give them a few more shuffles now. Hey, what's up? How are you? Whew. You got decks? You got new decks? Oh, you brought decks. Okay. So yeah, if it's 1 through 9, then I'll do it the way I've done it. I think once or twice before. So, oh, who is this? Somebody in the Occult Tarot wanted to. It's the Sun in reverse. Hey Sandra, how you doing? The Sun, this is boon number 26. Makes one rich, smart, and well-spoken, gathers spirits at tombs, and changes the places of the dead. What does changes the places of the dead mean? So since this is in reverse, like this would actually be an angelic influence rather than an occult influence. I don't know why we would associate. I don't know why we would associate a sun energy with an occult influence. Girl, I don't know. We might just have to put it back. I'm glad to hear you're good. I thought my brother said it was going to be in the 50s this weekend. So I planned on going for a walk until Siri was like, it's 19 degrees outside. I was like, oh, okay, well, never mind. Am I going to have to change how I read these? Because it's almost like it's a shadow attribute that's actually light. And it changes places with the dead. So maybe that's just like that's Thorn Thogan, the key made out of shadows that opens up that space, right? Well, it's like, well, now the space is open. And so something is returned to the light. Something that was in the shadow is returned to the light. And that's interesting because last time I went looking for, I remember it was recently, there was a time, it had to be around the full moon, I would assume, because it was like there was a moon illumination and it wasn't a sun because it was still like in the dark, or it wasn't something that had, like, it didn't necessarily completely change our entire outlook. It was very like in a specific area. Maybe it unfolded to be more. I don't even know where this is going, Eve, so I'm very confused right now. It's warmer there. I mean, that was earlier this morning. Now, let's see. Where's my weather? Where's the weather? If I swipe to the, now it's 31 degrees. It was 19 this morning. So it's a little warmer here. All right, so let's get this started. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't make y'all grab a deck for no reason, but whoa, it'll work out. Hey Siri, roll a D10.
It's 9 this time.
It's 9. I think 9 is the Illuminator, if I'm not mistaken. And it's I think it is. And it's interesting because I actually pulled that one up, but that one's not 20 cards. So I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do one of the ones that were like 13, 14, 15 cards because that was the challenge. But I was like, oh, this one's only like 8 cards, so I don't want to do it, but we're going to do it. I mean, if it is the Illuminator with the sun coming out in reverse, it definitely feels fitting. Hey, Holly, how you doing? So we are going to be, I've done it, I think, 1 or 2 times before, where I pull a spread and then like y'all have a deck and you pull to like clarify for you or to make it more specific for you. And then I'm just here to like say generally like this is what's going on or whatever. It's an experiment, it's a test, it's a trial to see if it works. I think the feedback was that it worked last time. Um, and then if you are so open, it can even like you can journal on it, you can sit with it a little bit longer if you want. You can open yourself up to like have a dream about it, or maybe it'll like unfold in your dreams a little bit more. I'm like, I need to just because I put all of these I emailed like I have it in my hold up, wait, did we not do past step 7? I really thought we did. I thought we did. Hold up. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I didn't. So I have it in OneNote, and then I typed up like a 1-page PDF or 1 or 2-page PDF, and I put like extra stuff in it. But I guess I didn't make it this far, so it's fine. Hold up, wait. Actually, I don't have a 9. Should I just do 8? Siri's gonna flip a coin. If it's heads, I'm just gonna do 8 because that's what I thought it was. If it's tails, see, but I don't want to build a spread. I didn't think this like this should be 9. We'll make it 9. We'll put another card in there, or maybe the sun in reverse makes it 9. Darn it! Oof. It's fine. We'll just go with it. I need to probably put this on mute, but who was that? Was that Russ? It is Russ with the mutable signs. He's hiding in the thumbnail. So I'm gonna finish this up and then I'll head over there. But if y'all want to jump over, that's fine. Or I could just end this because it said 9 and only have 8. But this is 9, so I don't know where 8 is. Oh, I never built 8. That means we didn't finish these steps. I have to finish this and then I'll have to work with her on finishing these if she's still open. Yeah, I just got the notification. Excuse me. I guess I can always just put one on the side. We'll keep you face down for the 9th. If I can get. As soon as. Okay, well, we'll just cut it. Look how big this stuff is. This stuff is huge. Oh. We'll cut you right there. We'll pull the card from the bottom. So I'm going to have to move these to give myself a little bit more room. Oops. So this is one. I totally don't have the space for this. 2, 3, 4. So if you want to pull it how I'm pulling it, I shuffled, and so the first card comes off the top of the deck. The second and third cards come off of the bottom. The fourth card comes off of the top. The fifth comes off the top. The sixth comes off the top. The seventh comes from the bottom, and then the eighth comes off of the top. And this is a part of the major spreads that I built. So I really want to finish them, but my Surface book, the first one I had crapped out, and then the second one, the one that I got now, basically crapped out too. So all right, Holly. So the only cards that come from the bottom of the deck are the second, the third, and the seventh. So the first card comes off the top, the second is the bottom, the third is the bottom. The fourth, fifth, and sixth come off of the top. The seventh comes from the bottom, and then the eighth comes off of the top. Or if like you shuffle and like the cards fall out, then you can like pull from the bottom at 2, 3, and 7 if you want, or however. That's just how it's like set up, right? So the Knight of Cups is at the bottom of the deck after all of that. But I kind of like that. Kind of like that. So this is the Illuminator spread. I'm a little oof. I really wish I need to go back and I thought I did all of them, but I guess I didn't. Oh, inner light and inner dark. Yeah. Okay. So this is fair. So the first card in the spread is our introduction to it. It's what's most easily accessible to all of the energies that are going to unfold. Right. And here the card is the Five of Swords. So with this card again, there's no real like there's some skeletons or some skulls, but there's no angel or demon. So there's no influence. There's no external influence here, which happened the last time I used this deck yesterday. So that's a theme. That isn't not on brand. It's also interesting that there's like a solar eclipse here. Right? Because you can see it here. It's like it's easy to miss. Yours was the Nine of Cups? Oh, snap. Love that. So the Five of Swords, it's a card of like, it can be seen as doing too much. For me, that's how I read it. It's like, do the ends justify the means? Or did the means justify the extremes or whatever? And a lot of times, a lot of people would say the answer is no, because it can be an energy of like overkill. But it just makes me think of all of those processes where doing way too much is a part of it. Right? It's almost like if you go from having no money or financial resources to a lot or to some, like the first thing you do is like get all the stuff that you want, right? So you might not be the most financially responsible in that time, but over time it's like, you're going to get everything that you want. And then it's like, okay, now I can start being a little smarter, because it's almost like the novelty wears off, but it's not necessarily a novelty thing. It's just an adjustment. Like if you're someone who is used to like not speaking your mind or muting yourself or not saying what it is that you really think, when you reach that point when you're like, you know what, I'm going to speak my mind, you're probably going to speak your mind loudly and often, and maybe in some spaces where you might be a little harsher than necessary. But again, like it's a part of the process. And then you learn balance. So, and fives are numbers of change. So there's like a great and significant change that it's almost like it's a time of overcompensation. And with this card in particular, though, what I like about this one, it's a like a survivor energy. Every other sword is bound, and every person or character that those swords are bound to are no longer living. But you still stand ready for battle, sword in hand, pointed upward. It's, I guess you could be a demon hunter because demon hunters can use swords and like they can use melee weapons and ranged weapons. Because she's got like arrows in hand, a quiver, and a bow on her back, but also a sword in hand. So there is a flexibility in this card too. Like it can be ranged when it needs it, it can be close up and melee when it needs to be. In the game, however, there are certain skills and abilities that require a ranged weapon to use them. And so if you're using a sword, it's like you are limiting yourself in the range of things that you can do. But just because your range is limited doesn't necessarily mean that your impact is. You know what I mean? And so maybe with these other four swords, there are ways of thinking, ways of going about things, ways of acting and behaving that you're finding are no longer working. And it's interesting because I watched a video earlier about um, a person asked two people like how they stay positive. And part of it was like the company that you keep in your environment. And they mentioned how one person mentioned how, you know, it's hard and it's difficult, but sometimes you outgrow people. And then the other person was like, you know, sometimes people hold on to a past version of ourselves because that's the version of us that they're comfortable with for whatever reason. And like you might have to go your separate ways or whatever. But that like past versions of you also feel sort of relevant because maybe these are all tied to previous versions that you've outgrown, or again it's like ways of being that you've seen like are productive to your happiness, joy, peace, prosperity, whatever. And so that's again that's why it's like, you know what, I'm not gonna be a silent bystander anymore. And so like if there are people in our lives who are used to us being that person that doesn't do or say anything really, then it would seem like, whoa, all of a sudden, like you're doing all this and you're saying all that. It's like a bit much, don't you think? And it's like, no, it's not actually. So it's our introduction into the energy, our entry point of contact is it's almost like a no longer fading into the background. So the second card is our inner light or the light of this situation. And it's the Ace of Wands. No! The reason why I say no is because it's a club in this. It's because it's a club. Oh my gosh. Oof. The dark is the King of Cups. Nine of Cups, Wheel of Fortune. Yours is gorgeous. I feel like this plays on that Sun card in reverse in the Occult Tarot. The light is the Ace of Wands, the dark is the King of Cups. And that King of Cups is like, again, there are things that were hidden in the shadows that weren't accessible, but now they're coming to the light. This is really interesting. Let's all just take Eve's reading. This isn't so. I pointed out this like eclipse sun, right? This total solar eclipse. Honestly, when I first saw this, it made me think of when I saw the sun in reverse in the occult tarot. It made me think of the Akamar and Akranar reading with Phaeton. Was Phaeton the name of the person that fell into Eridanus, I think? The one who drove Apollo's chariot a little too close to the earth, and Zeus was like, okay, you gotta go, because. And then, and when I read it, it was like he's learning to drive the chariot of the undersun in the underworld before he reemerges. Like that's where he gains the strength to drive the chariot. Because it feels like this something that this King of Cups is doing is actually causing this eclipse because of the hands. It's like because of the hands, the King of Cups is moving the moon in front of the sun. But what's interesting about this is it feels like the dark. Okay, thank you, because that's kind of the purpose. It feels like the dark is. It feels like darkness is trying to bring itself to the light, which is interesting. But it's like what that's doing is it's purging shadow. It's like the darkness is purging the shadow out of the dark. It's almost like if, however you think of thieves, right? And it's like there is a thieves guild, and the thieves guild has rules that they follow. But there's a bunch of people that are just stealing stuff and wreaking havoc that isn't following the code, and they're all calling themselves thieves. And then the thieves guild is like, you know what, we're going to expose these people because they are not a part of our organization. They are not officially licensed and registered. What they're doing is wrong. And so it's like the dark is ejecting or like putting certain like shadows on blast, like that's not affiliated with us, like no, because the dark and the light, there's a balance between them. Anything that disturbs that balance is shadow. Dark doesn't fight light, light doesn't fight dark, they both just are, they both exist. And there's positive and negative to both, like how someone can be so full of righteousness that they start to go against the very systems of love that they believe in, where they're so full of love that it actually becomes hatred and intolerance. It's like, okay, like how you go so extreme that you end up on the other side of the spectrum, like, you know what I mean? The light side is this Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands, again, it's like it's a club in this deck, which is interesting because when I saw Rob unbox it again, like I just watched him unbox it, I didn't go through all the cards myself. Um, but a lot of them are like wands and staves, like staffs to cast magic, not a club to hit somebody over the head with. And now the ice is melting. I can hear the ice melting in the trash. So the Five of Swords is our entry point, right? The light is giving us a club. The dark is sitting in this space of almost a quiet reflection. And it's funny that I just used the example of when like self righteousness or not self-righteousness, just like righteousness in general can turn into a zeal that can very easily cross lines that should not be crossed. But it's almost like the light is empowering us to be a little bit more emboldened, while the dark is at the same time like trying to not get us to go too far. And I say that again because like the Five of Swords has a sword in hand. The bow and the arrows are like sort of not readied. And then like our main character is in the white with the red weapon. Here's the white hand with the red weapon. I think too, because we're going from a sword to a club, the light is also like trying to get us to scale it down a little bit, you know, because a club can still kill somebody, but that's like a blunt trauma rather than like a severing. So it's not like easier, but it's softer. It's softer than the sword, which again it sort of plays into that the process of things. It's less extreme than the sword, but it can still get a point across. Oh gosh. I think there is also something too with the King of Cups being the dark. Um, this feels like it can be the result of like shadow work, like a lot of hurt, pain, trauma, negative emotions, anger, and stuff like that. It's almost like the King of Cups is getting to the root issue of it. It's getting to the truth of like those emotions and feelings. And so maybe that'll also help us not have to compensate so hard, right? So like let's go back to the voice thing. Like you're someone who never says what they want, and so you just kind of go with everyone else, right? Well, let's say you experience something unpleasant enough to get you to no longer do that. It's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And so you might go into the like this overdrive of like, well, now I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that, and I don't care who it offends and blah 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 whatever. But it's almost like the pain of being overlooked or not considered or whatever that happened that triggered you to finally go into the other side. It's like be careful that that doesn't remain unaddressed. And it feels like that's what the dark is helping us do. And as that thing becomes addressed, we don't have to do so much. So then the wand can bring light to a situation. Swords don't bring light, they can reflect light because of the metal that they're made out of, but they don't bring light. And a wand is reading like a torch because it's the element of fire. Air can, again, like it can reflect light. The sword, air can feed a fire, but it doesn't, like, it is not luminescent in and of itself. And there's a certain luminosity that needs to be here. It also feels like once we connect in that way to ourselves, this King of Cups is going to help us connect to others. It's like once we know our own pain, it's a little bit more than like an empathetic, like knowing the pain of others. Um, I feel like this is a thread that is present, and it's the throat chakra and the third eye. First, we realize that we are not our pasts, and we're not the choices and decisions that we made while we didn't think we had any other options. And then we extend that same grace and courtesy to other people, realizing that they are not their pasts and they are not the choices and decision that they made when they didn't think they had any others. I think the King of Cups in the dark is helping us do that. So the next card is the relationship between the light and the dark. It's like the common ground between them. And it's the Ace of Swords. Again, it's like there are no real external characters or figures in any of these cards, so I'm not even going to get to use the other decks, but it's fine. Again, it just plays on the thread that is like us coming into a sort of empowerment where we have the choice and decision. And I think maybe that comes with the realization that we are not our pasts. Maybe it frees us from influence in that way. But next we have this Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Swords has arrows sort of in the hand. And it's a flaming sword too. It's interesting because I was like, swords don't provide light. They reflect it. Air doesn't provide light, but it can feed a fire that provides light. That's why the Ace of Wands is here. Well, this sword is on fire, so what did you get, Eve? now I'm all like curious. This is really interesting. The thing I like about the Ace of Swords the thing that I like about the Ace of Swords after we're like stepping back from the sword to the club, and then we're opening up through the space of that King of Cups where we can sympathize a bit more with other people. It is still a balance though. Oh, snap. It is still a balance though, right? So just because we understand where other people are coming from, and just because we might extend the amount of grace that we as humans have the capability to give someone else. So understanding, compassion. Still, that doesn't excuse certain behaviors. You know what I mean? And it certainly doesn't entitle anyone, ourselves or others, to continue to treat other people in a way that's not great. Right? Like the understanding is there, the knowledge is there. Yeah, but everything's still within reason. Circles are a thing. So in this Ace of Wands, you see this ring here. In the King of Cups, there's a ring around the cup. You see it? That ring of light. In the Ace of Swords, there are two rings. There's this one here, and then there's also this one here. So that might play on like these two rings sort of like overlapping. With this card symbolizing the space where the light and the dark meet, or like what is in between them, it sort of makes sense that this Ace of Swords, I like the Ace of Swords here because it feels like that gives us an ability to comprehend and understand things that it's easy to misconstrue when we have either this or that. The Ace of Swords in the middle is this and that are true. They're simultaneously true. And so if this is true and this is true, and although they appear to be opposing in validity, although it might appear that either this or that is true, when they're both true, it's like when we can see that they're both true, how does our understanding of the world at large change? It opens us up to be able to see even more things as true. And it makes sense because, like, if there's something within us that tells us that both cannot be true, and then we discover that both are true, something has already changed within our understanding. I love how kind of sort of like general this is. Um, but again, like that's the point. You pull cards to like clarify and make it more specific for you. And so the Ace of Swords is just like an increase in our ability to perceive things. It's almost like the Ace of Swords is an increase in our ability to see. But the Ace of Wands and the King of Cups on either side are going to help us understand. Because it's like just because we see something doesn't necessarily mean we know what it means, right? We can have an interpretation of it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that our interpretation of it is correct. It's true for us, but it doesn't like is it like lowercase t true or is it like uppercase t true? You know what I mean? Which is also why I put reversals in the occult tarot and the angel tarot. Because in our own limited understanding, sometimes we can get it kind of backwards. But it's giving us a clarity of sight. I think too, it feels like there's something. I mean, we still have what, 5 more cards to go. But it feels like I don't know if it's coming in with this Ace of Swords in particular, but it feels like as we come into a sort of empowerment and as we learn to hold that power within our own space, but not necessarily overpower other spaces, it feels like there's a point here to learn to coexist is the easiest word, but it doesn't fully encapsulate the sentiment. We learn to coexist with other empowered individuals. Or it's like there's a respect of power between individuals. It's one that might be hard to see when we're fresh in that, like, no, because it's really easy to overstep in that 5 of Swords energy. So it's putting you in your place. It's like you're a child of wands. You're not a king yet. You're not a queen. But I think that's important for a few reasons. Not only because we don't overstep, but I think like to get that card in this position, especially paired with the Ace of Swords, like to get a page or a knight, it's like to know how much there is still to learn or how much still there is to grow. And it, for me on the outside, it feels like there's so much like wonder and like, oh, like if this is just the beginning, like how much further does this truth have to unfold? How much more magical and like wonderful and like how many tiny, infinitely small pieces can you like blow my mind? You know what I mean? Because like if my brain's blown into 3 chunks, but you can blow it into like 3 billion chunks, like what? And again, like it's the Ace of Swords. So anyway, sorry. I feel like I'm gonna have to like. I feel like I should have been pulling cards for myself on the side. I might just have to like rewatch it and do it later. Um, position 5, positions 5 and 6 are our understanding. So 5 is our understanding of 2, which is our understanding of light. 6 is our understanding of 3, which is our understanding of dark. So that's why like 2 and 3 came from the bottom to be like the raw whatever. And then 5 and 6 is like how we sort of interpret it. Oh my gosh, the sun. So the sun is how we interpret the Ace of Wands. Again, like there's no external figures really. It's all us. which is like, it's cool. And I love that aspect of this. But at the same time, I have two decks that I pulled out and shuffled and I haven't like used either last time or yet today. So it's fine. This sun card for our understanding of the light, it's super, super, super cool that the sun came out for our understanding of the light of the situation. I think it's interesting though that because the sun is standing, because the figure is standing with the sun to their back, it cloaks them in a shadow a little bit. It makes them dark. Now if they were standing facing the sun, then we would see them sort of fully. I think it's also interesting too that again we're kind of sort of playing on this eclipse energy. Like with this sun being eclipsed, with the King of Cups moving moons, using water magic to move the moon in front of suns. This person is eclipsing the sun. They're not big enough to fully eclipse the sun, but they are eclipsing it. And because of that, again, it makes them look a little dark. I think this character looking a little dark again sort of plays into this Five of Swords energy, where from the outside it can be seen as like doing way too much, or like it can be seen as extreme. But again, like those other four swords are dead and gone. Their time has passed. The Five of Swords, that's what the first decan of Aquarius. So we are out of the old Libra balance dynamic and fresh into a new fixed Aquarian energy, which is interesting. It's interesting that five being a number of changer with everything that is changing, we're settling into a fixed energy rather than like a cardinal one or even a mutable one. You know what I mean? But it's not fixed in the old way. We're fixing ourselves within the self. We're fixing ourselves in our own authenticity. We're fixing ourselves in the spark of the creator that we hold within us. That which has always been inside of us. You know what I mean? High priestess. How many mages do you have over there? So our understanding of the dark is the Queen of Swords. And again, there's no character outside of whoever this is. I think this is interesting. It's interesting that we get a King of Cups, Queen of Swords. Because over here, it's like the Queen of Cups, King of Swords are these two aspects of the High Priestess, right? The Queen of Cups is the one who sees the end result. The King of Swords is the one who receives the knowing of the process. Together, you get the process and the end result. So you know exactly what you need to do to get what you want or to reach a desired outcome. Rather than with just the King of Swords, it's like, okay, my intuition is telling me that I need to do this, and then I need to go here, and then I need to do this other thing. It gives us the process. The Queen of Cups is like, my intuition is telling me that I'm going to get married in 2 years. But then you're like, married to who? Like somebody that I already know? Is it going to be somebody new? Like, do I meet this person because a friend asked me to go to a TGI Fridays on a random Thursday? And then we lock eyes across the stuffed jalapenos. You know what I mean? Like, who is it going to be? Like, how? Like, but both of them together give us like a more complete picture. But it's interesting here. Well, the Queen of Swords is our understanding of the dark. Queen of Swords is a minor, it's pre-justice. I think I like the Queen of Swords here. And I like that she's holding a sword with our character in the Five of Swords holding a sword. It's the Suit of Swords. The Queen of Swords, in our understanding of the dark, it's almost like what is necessary. And I say that again because the Five of Swords is at the top of this. But it's like it's realizing and understanding that it's almost like things that we view as negative or emotions that we view as negative, like anger or fear or sadness. Like from the happy, happy, joy, joy, light, bright side, it's like there is no place for any of those ever. But the Queen of Swords has an understanding of like sometimes anger motivates us to make changes that need to be made. Sometimes fear protects us from entering situations that we have no business being in. Sometimes sadness is the beginning of a realization that leads to profound happiness. Like there's a certain understanding, or there's a certain, it's almost like the Queen of Swords is able to, it's a very temperance energy between the King of Cups and the Queen of Swords, because it feels like between the two of them, like the King of Cups opens us up enough, and the Queen of Swords gives us that understanding. It's like this is a shadow work dream team. Like between the two of these, anything that we have experienced that is heavy, we will be able to extract what we need to like move forward. So it feels like our understanding of the dark is increasing. And I like the sun for our understanding of the light. What I don't like about the sun is that it doesn't feel like it gives any depth. The sun being here for our understanding of the light doesn't feel like we actually understand the light. The light, oh, the sun, because the sun emits light. Like, name something wet, water. You know what I mean? Or name something hot, fire. Name something that is always moving, the wind. It's almost a little elementary compared to like our understanding of the dark. I mean, we got an ace of wands and the sun. It's like an ace is just pure potential. It's just like that element in general. So it's like it's good that we're sort of in the right element, we're in the right ballpark, and then our understanding of it is like the sun. It's like our understanding of light is the light. Like what is light? Oh, it's light. Okay, but like can you tell me what it is? It's light. Can you tell me what it does? It's light. Can you tell me how it works? It's light. Can you tell me anything besides that the light is light? It's light. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. I just think, and maybe that's where this Ace of Swords comes in a little bit too. It's almost like it's time for us to understand a little bit more about what that actually is. Again, it's gorgeous that it comes out as the sun because it feels like we can recognize it when we see it, but it feels like the depth of our understanding pales in comparison to the depths of our understanding of like darkness, which like we're all human. We experience pain and trauma, and the memories that stick with us more often than not are the unpleasant ones, because shadow work is such a big thing that we have to go through and understand all of those different aspects and how it affects us, and like we have to heal it and work through it. But when it comes to the light, it's just like it's almost like when we're happy type of energy, but we don't necessarily, I think it might be something that we do more often now, but it's almost like when we're happy or when we're feeling good, we don't necessarily dig into it as much, to the point of like I'm happy when I go to the grocery store because there's something within me that feels fulfilled when I can go and procure things for myself that I know are going to sustain me. You know what I mean? It's almost like, well, why does it make you happy? what does that happiness illuminate as a truth within you? Just like what does sadness and disappointment illuminate as a truth within you? Because they both can lead us to like the same truth. We get to that truth from the not great side, and we get to that truth from the amazing side. But it's like there are things within us, things within our souls that if we come into an understanding of them, then it'll make it easier to make certain choices and decisions, or it'll make it easier for us to like find a flow, because we know like, oh, this is going to fulfill me in this way that is very important to me. So if you're in a 7 of Cups energy and there are like multiple options that are like really good, like they're all great, they're all amazing, but this one, because of this one thing, it's like that's what's really going to like do it for me. Out of these things that are potentialities, this one is like my path. And again, it's like, if they're all great, then does it matter? Life is a journey. We experience everything. But it just feels like there's something more that the light can give us that we don't necessarily dig into as much, or it's just like there's some aspect to the light that is more than what we're currently seeing. Which is fine. I almost want to clarify that one a little bit, but depending on whatever your card is, like maybe you already have that understanding. Again, this is general. Depending on what your card is, maybe that doesn't even necessarily completely resonate for you. You know what I mean? It's general. So the next one is well, let's see what the card is first. Number 7 is the 8 of Wands. So this is a subconscious matter that needs to be addressed, or this is something within the subconscious. This is something within the subtle, within the energetic that is rising to be looked at. And I love that this card came out. And I love that I was just talking about our understanding of the light, because it's like in all 8 of these wands, only one of them is actually a light. Like this is like a shooting star. But it's like the more we understand, or the more our understanding of the light increases, it's like more and more of these become stars. And then we see this as like a constellation of stars that's shooting across the sky, rather than like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why this is one of my favorite 8 of Wands cards, but it is. And it's because of this in the middle of all of this. You had to clarify your 6. Maybe I should. I'm not going to clarify. It's fine. So I just watched a clip from Lucifer before I started this, because I was trying to find pure white screen on my TV. Yeah, this is the one that comes with the warning sign. But it was a scene in Lucifer where Ella was talking about the darkness within her. And God was like, the darker the darkness, the brighter the light. Because she was like, there's this darkness within me. And he was like, well, everybody has darkness within them. And she was like, yeah, but mine is different, and I keep attracting like these bad people and can't help but think that I'm a bad person. And that's when he was like, the darker the darkness, the brighter the light. But in this 8 of Wands, it feels like the darkness is bringing itself to the light to expose and get rid of some of the shadows. But it feels like there's also this interest in like making the light even brighter. Like the whole thing is like, because there was a point where it's like, as our understanding goes deeper here, it goes higher here, but now it's like it's time to shift the whole thing like up. But again, like it feels like it plays into the whole like right. I was like, I love that show. I cried like 10 times in the last episode. I feel like I cried 3 times within like 7 minutes at one point. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so everything that I said about us falling into that fixed spark of the creator that we're made of, um, it's the spark is a seed. And both the light and the dark are interested in seeing that seed germinate and blossom and grow. And again, it feels like throughout the journey so far, we've gotten really good at like shadow work and healing and seeing all the correlations there. But it's almost like maybe the light has been too bright for us to differentiate different things within it. And this Eight of Wands, it feels like there is like we're already falling into alignment with the shift of the energy in a very good way. But it feels like, again, it's about getting these other arrows to like light up and become like stars. Like as our, again, as our understanding of the light increases, these are all going to light up just like this one. And it feels like it very much so plays on this Ace of Swords. The beginning of our understanding really sort of coming online, because it's like, well, what does it mean? It's like we know what it means to be made in the image of the creator, as we can like manifest into our own realities and we become sovereign or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like, okay, but like what else can you do, or what else does that mean? Like, can we take that any further than the law of attraction and manifestation and this law and that law and blah 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 whatever? Or like, can we use the understanding of those laws in new ways beyond just basic get what you want? And I know like it goes beyond get what you want, but it feels like there's an energy that really calls us into the truth of what that means. And as we come into those truths. So the eighth card is the conscious blockage to whatever is coming up from the subconscious. Um, and it's the Chariot. Oh, I can't see it. Do we get a card with this one? Another thing that's interesting is every time we've seen an arrow before, it's been associated with a sword, but the arrow isn't the focus. Like there are arrows in the hand of this Ace of Swords, and there are arrows that like she's holding and in her quiver, but she hasn't been using the arrows. And then in the Eight of Wands, it's like all arrows. It's interesting that it's interesting that the Chariot comes out as a conscious blockage to what is rising in the subconscious. It's also interesting that it's 7 and 8. So 8 came out in position 7. 7 came out in position 8. But it's like both of these are cards of movement. So you wouldn't think that one would interfere with the other. So I guess the question in your card, the one that you pull, will tell you more specifically. because the way that the spread is built, it's written as a hindrance, it's written as a blockage. But if both of these are cards of movement, it's actually possible that they're working together. And so instead of the Chariot, it's almost like I can read this in the way of like we're moving in this direction and spirit is trying to get us to move in this direction or this direction. And so we're at this crossroads, we're facing a crosswind, and we're getting away from the point that we're supposed to get to. Or I could read it as like there's this energetic flow in this direction and you're moving in this direction. So it actually works out quite harmoniously. This can either be a harmony or a discord, and it's the conscious understanding. So again, it sort of clarifies or validates this Ace of Swords being the card that sits in between the light and the dark, being us trying to increase our understanding, because when we do that, it's possible for us to flow in the direction. And I think that'll also from the Five of Swords energy and not have to be so, you know what I mean? Because then we can allow the momentum to sort of carry us. Steph, did you make it back? Is everything okay? You got the Eight of Wands for 8? Oh, snap. See, yours came out right. When I did it, the general way it came out backwards. But again, like your cards or your own intuition and discernment will tell you if the movement is harmonious or if the movement is like not. Oh my gosh. And I know you were looking forward to going back. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better at least. So I hear that. I know it's like everybody is getting sick over here, and Thanksgiving came early, so I don't even know if what we're gonna do. But I hope things improve for you. As my mom coughs and coughs some more, you probably couldn't hear her coughing. Again, there's no real, because there is like a kind of sort of shadow back here or whatever, but there's no figure for me to pull. I feel like I keep pulling out these extra. I never get necessarily what I want. You know what I mean? So the ninth card, this is supposed to be, I built this. It's supposed to be number 9, but it's number 8. It's fine. Where does the ninth card fit into all of this? I don't like doing outcomes. I don't mind doing potentials. What does it feel like? Like, what is the purpose? The greater, grander sort of energy at large. It's the Three of Pentacles. Again, there's like no angels or demons. But it feels like, because the Three of Pentacles is a card of cooperation. And the Three of Pentacles, it feels like it's to get the feminine and masculine to work together in a way that they haven't necessarily worked together before. And what's interesting about the Three of Pentacles rather than the Six of Pentacles is that in the Three of Pentacles, no individual is at a place of advantage. In the Six of Pentacles, there's the one that has stuff that's giving to the people who don't have stuff. So they're not necessarily on equal footing, but here they are. And there's something that they both bring to the table. There's something that they both contribute, and it's not necessarily the same. But if we generalize this to how it's laid out, it's a collaboration between the light and the dark. But again, like that energy was already here with the dark bringing things to the light. And as the dark is bringing things to the light, it's time for our understanding of the light to develop and deepen. And as that happens, we become aware of ways that they intermingle that we weren't necessarily as aware of before. And maybe it's because of how we see or saw their dynamic that made areas of overlap between them almost non existent. That made looking at how they both play together very difficult to see or perceive or witness or understand. Because it's just like plants, right? Plants have light cycles and dark cycles. There are things that they can only do in the light, and then there are things that they do in the dark. And both the light and the dark help the plant grow overall. It's not like the plant thrives in the light and then it dies a little bit at night, and then it's always like living and dying and living and dying, and it never really, it's like, no. The spark is a seed. So this is just a general I pull cards, you pull cards video. It's the Illuminator spread. It comes out to light and dark. We got the Sun card in reverse in the Occult Tarot. So I like the Sun in the reverse in the Occult Tarot because, again, it feels like something that we don't think of. It feels like something that we wouldn't think of the dark as capable of giving us. But the dark is giving us light. What is light giving us? I guess I just gotta get a card to see what comes out on the other side. Did that flip over, or did that just like fly up? No, it didn't flip. Wait. No, it didn't flip over. I thought it flipped over for a second. There we go. It's giving us Gabriel. It's Gabriel on the side, though. The Occult Tarot gave us the Sun. The Angel Tarot is giving us the Moon. Gabriel, God is my strength. Divine revelation reveals messages, has the power to destroy. I like that divine revelation and reveals messages energy. It's 9 cards. So, and the first card comes on top of the deck. Cards 2, 3, and 7 come off of the bottom, and the rest of them come off of the top, or however you want to get them. So, you haven't been out of bed last week? I was in bed from like Tuesday night to Monday morning. It was glorious. I didn't like being sick, but I loved the rest. I loved the rest. I needed it. Okay. I mean, that's cool. It's giving us, and Gabriel is like, has the trumpet and the horn, right? I feel like a lot of times I see Gabriel associated with the wands, and the Ace of Wands is here. So yeah, that's this. Since this is a BYOD, I don't necessarily want to make it longer than it needs to be. I guess I could always just like timestamp it up to this point. Um, but that's the spread. Again, so the way that these are intended to be an introduction. So you can pull it yourself to clarify for yourself. You can like write down what you got, meditate on it, journal it, dream walk on it, see what more has to be revealed to you. there's just like this super, it's been around for a hot second. And it was I called it like it's Lafruma and I don't even remember the other cards. Rad, maybe. Yeah. If Lafruma is the light that's so bright that we can't see, all we see is light, then Rad would be our journey into that. And then it becomes, I don't know, the alchemy of astrology. It goes from runes into alchemy at that point. Because then it becomes about learning what is inside of that. Interesting. Oh, waited. The chariot. It's the chariot. You get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you understand? Do you get it? It's the chariot. We're ending with the chariot. Well, technically, we ended with the Three of Pentacles. But the chariot, that was the thing. It was Phaeton that was struck off of Apollo's chariot because he wasn't strong enough to pull it. Gets sent to the underworld, chariot. And then when he becomes strong enough, he resurfaces, becomes the new driver of that chariot. He becomes strong enough to pull the sun and not burn the earth. Or now my connection is unstable. Wow. Fine. Cut me off. It's fine. If you don't see this part, then it's a realization that you reach on your own, I guess. I just thought it was cool. I literally just saw it. If you do see this part, then YouTube tried it. But the chariot and the sun. And again, like that's why it feels like it plays or it validates that whole like our understanding of the light is lacking in some way. Phaeton wasn't strong enough to pull the chariot of the sun. Either it was way too far and the earth almost froze, or it was way too close and it burned up. And Zeus had to strike him down. And then he was like, Apollo, like, what were you thinking? Well, his daughters and his wife got punished because, why didn't Apollo get punished? Because he was the dude? I don't know. But his daughters got turned into like trees or something along the river that he fell into after he was struck by Zeus. Wow. There's like a huge energy behind this. And it's one of like us becoming who we are meant to be. But we can't see that clearly with some external factors. So yeah. I'm going to timestamp this at, I'm still going to keep the 109 timestamp. Again, the angels gave us the moon. The occult is giving us the sun. It gave us the sun in reverse, to be fair. And the moon came out. The ninth one was the Three of Pentacles. Or like, do you mean, what does that mean? When I built the spread, it didn't have a meaning. So it was just like the bigger picture overall, or like, what does this all mean? And it came out as the Three of Pentacles, getting the light and dark to sort of like the whole purpose of this is so that we get them to a point where they're on an equal playing field where we can see the cooperation between them, because whatever rises out of that, we get a greater understanding of the divine as a whole, rather than like the divine is the light and the shadow is the not divine or whatever. So yeah, because I guess I did like, we started with like, what is our, like, where do we stand before this energy? So this was like, well, what is like this all about anyway? Like if there was a specific question and I used that spread, then like we would know what it's about. So that's what it became. Whew. Wow. There is something that is happening. And it's happening, like it's already beginning. It's already starting, but It's like, ooh, this is one of those like, what does it mean? Live life and find out. 9 is, I pulled 9 from the bottom of the deck before I pulled the cards. so, so 9, it can come from wherever. 9 is you can lay the cards out and into it a card. You can pull from the middle, wherever you feel it, you can pull it. Because I pulled the bottom of the deck before I started, so sorry. Because I didn't know. But yeah, you can. I would say like pull it from the middle if you haven't pulled it yet, or wherever your intuition leads you to pull it. That's what I would say. Wherever your intuition leads you to pull it. Yeah, I did. I didn't even think about it either. Oh my gosh, have you seen? Did you hear Kathy talk about her Viking dream? Because I feel like that's super interesting. That you had that dream, and then she had a Viking dream, and yeah, she did. And I think she said they were like on boats and like there were entrails and Vikings. And I was like, that sounds like a Valkyrie to me. So let's get a final card from the Sanctuary Tarot. So there we go. It's the 9 of Wands. Oh, and who is this? The Sun. 9 of Wands in reverse, the Sun upright with the 2 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Is this Adria and Magda? Nine of Wands in reverse, the Sun upright. I kind of like this. I like this in the way that like the 9 of Wands in that like defensive sense of the word, or in that defensive like burning the midnight oil on your last leg, and then the sun comes in. I like it both because it's like you can be nearing your wit's end in a certain situation, and then it's almost like maybe your intuition, maybe your guidance, maybe your angels, ancestors, the divine is telling you to like let go of something, and it might be in an area that you have a lot of resistance to letting go, but as soon as you like let go, that's when like the sun comes in and you experience transformation in that area. It could be that because earlier there was the like there are other people that hold on to previous versions of us for whatever reason. Maybe we're holding on to a previous version of ourselves, and that's stopping us from connecting further with the more that is already close enough to be experienced. And that's why the 2 of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. Temperance is behind that. Yeah, I know. That's the point. You haven't been on your phone? Yeah. It was, I don't even remember what maybe the video was just called Eyes. I used the new Go Live Together feature, and Kathy came on, and then Russ came on after. Well, Russ was gonna come on, and then Kathy came back on. She was like, "I'm just showing Russ how it's done," and then Russ was like, "I can't get in." I was like, "It's because Kathy is here anyway." What's interesting about this Nine of Wands makes me think of that Eight of Wands. Because out of all of these arrows, well, we don't see the tip of that one, but this one has the circle around it. That makes me think of that light, the shooting star that was amidst all of the falling arrows. It also makes me think of in the King of Cups, the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. There were those circles. But now I'm looking at the Sun card, and like there's these like two rings of radiance with this whole sun, and then there's a ring inside the sun and another ring inside of that ring. It's almost like the more arrows we can get with rings around the arrowheads, or the more of those eight wands that are, like, become shooting stars, the more this sun fills up behind us. And then this becomes the energy that we bring into the world as we walk, as we live our lives. We become embodiments of radiance as that internal soul light shines brighter and brighter. But it's hard to do that when it's like our light is fighting our darkness and there's shadow all over the place. There becomes shadow on the light side that fights the darkness, and there's shadow on the dark side that fights the light. And that's when we can play into like the everything that I talked about earlier. Okay. Yeah, that makes me think of when I drank the ool water. Because back in her rune drinking days, I was like, Irene was like, "Let's drink ool," and I was like, "Okay," and she was like, "Okay," and we were like we felt like a little silly, but like that was it. And we are like, "I don't really feel anything," and she was about to go drink another rune, but then it hit her, and she was like, "Oof, we should go meditate." So she went to go meditate, and I was like, "Okay," and I meditated, and that's when there was like the shadow vortex or whatever. And then I was like standing in the middle, and there were all of these shadows around me, and they're like, "We're waiting for you. We're waiting for your light." And then as the light within me came on, it's like the light pushed back, and as that bubble of radiance expanded outward, it's like it colored. It's like it made the shadows like real people. Like it gave them color. It gave their features depth and dimension. It wasn't just darkness. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was weird. So yeah. Orbit, dirty light, clean it up with new Orbit gum. Who are you calling a cootie queen? You lint liquor. You son of a biscuit eating bulldog. Who are you calling a cootie queen? You lint liquor. That was the thing back in the day. What is this bond? There's the occult tarot. Oh, here it is. It's all there to be watched whenever you're ready. In your time. If you had to rest and recuperate and rejuvenate this week, then that's what you had to do. But if you're backlogged on videos, that does suck, because when there's like so many videos, it's like I've missed so much. I got to go back and watch all of them. Whichever ones speak to you, whichever ones resonate. I feel like this video probably encapsulated a lot of what's been happening over here. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, all right. Now we'll get the final Angel Tarot. I've been craving like Oreos for 2 weeks now, for a week now, a week and a half now. So I'm gonna go get some Oreos from the store. Stop going on the floor. Gabriel's chucking angels left and right. Gabriel came back out, but this time Gabriel is upright. Again, the moon. Divine revelations, reveals messages, has the power to destroy. Um, the Ace of Cups, Nithiel, God, the King of Heaven, was one of the cards that was chucked. I feel like there was another card down here that got tossed. Gabriel's like, go down to Earth and help them out. They need some help. They need some help down there. They say that they can't see. They say they're in moon energy. So the Ace of Cups is down here to help us out. I love that this is the third ace that we see. Maybe it was just that one card. I don't know. Italian sugar cookies. My sweet tooth has been like, oh. I got sick and then I started craving all the food and all the sweets. Everything like I get these soups from Walmart. And the kickin' chicken chowder is my favorite right now. The lentil soup is also like pretty decent. I mean, the lentil soup is decent because I want lentil soup, but I'm not making it and my friend isn't here to make it, so it gets me by. It scratches an itch. Um, but the kickin' chicken chowder was so good. I got sick and I'm like, why does everything taste so good? And I want sugar and I want to rest, I want to sleep. So I was able to just like take care of myself for a hot second, which was nice because those times have been seemingly few and far between in the past year of my life. But that chapter is coming to a close in less than a month. It's wild because there's a lot of people not kicking chickens. um, third Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, is round 2 out of 3 of the downsizing. I guess it's technically 2 out of 4, but waves 3 and 4 happen like a few days apart. So yeah, it'll be interesting. There's like less and less and less people. Yeah, because October was the first one. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Pentacles, Manadel. Manadel is number 36. Is this 54? 54 and 36. 2 number 9s. Both upright, too. Manadel, the honorable god. Inner and outer work helps one keep their job. Helps one keep their job. LOL. Protects against disasters. Nithiel, God, the King of Heaven, is rejuvenation, obtains the mercy of God, and gives long life. So there's that mercy that's been a thing. Ace of Cups and the Moon, Gabriel and Nithiel, with 2 9 angels. So love that. And I know I'm gonna be there until December because like there was this like volunteer to stay longer paper. And at first they were like, oh, it doesn't matter if you really volunteer or not, because if they need you, they're going to keep you. And I didn't sign it, but I kind of got pressured on the last day. So on the last day, I signed it. So I'm going to be there until December because I volunteered to stay, which is fine because I haven't been looking for another job. And there are things that I need to do to prepare myself to re-enter the job search / to enter the workforce in a different avenue and vein, because I do want to make a career switch. I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I want to do what I originally wanted to do, but then I didn't want to do. But now I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. Because, yeah. So I get time to like do that, which is nice. I have a month. And like my job is basically over. So it's just a lot of like decommissioning, packing, moving stuff, and then wrapping things up. So I'll be able to leave work on time, and I'll be able to look for the next. So it ended up working out. Although I would love to get my severance. So, I can't wait for that money to drop. And then I'm like, so I was only there for less. I've been there for a year. It'll be a year and some change by the time I leave. So I only get like 4 weeks of severance. So, but that's like a month that I don't have to work. So if I could find a job that starts like after, just like at least take like 2 or 3 weeks off, that would be nice. Um, I kind of wish I planned it so I had like travel plans or something. I would go see my buddy in the UK, but he's going to be in India. So, and then his brother is going to be in India too. So anyway, you didn't eat for 4 days. What? Then you wanted to eat everything after the free rug? Yeah, yeah. I didn't eat yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like laying down in bed, and I was like, I didn't eat today. Oh snap! All right, occult. What you got? What you got? What you got? Any more gorgeous energy that I love how like the dark is like y'all like to blame a lot of stuff on us, but that's just you. It's like anyway. I wanted to, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I didn't really have plans, but there was an idea that was before everything changed. But that's also been energy. Like it's been, or the energy, that's also been life for the past few months at least. Like it's been so hard to plan anything because every time I would make like weekend plans, I would have to end up going into work. Um, so then I just stopped planning stuff. And then when I don't plan anything, I don't have anything to do. So it's like I could have planned something. Okay. Final card. Who was that? Murmur, Six of Wands. Teaches philosophy perfectly. Brings souls back from the dead to answer questions. What number is that? Number 54. Number 54 is the Ace of Cups in the other deck. Nithael, the one that got thrown on the floor by Gabriel. 54. So that's a 999. It was what, 54, 36, 54? Bring souls back from the dead to answer questions. The Sun card mentioned like changes places with the dead or something like that. Halloween is over. So I mean, just because Halloween is over don't mean that the ancestors ain't up there just doing whatever, I guess. I don't know. Ancestors like, so what? We can only be like communicate on Halloween. He's like, no. Bottom of the deck is a Three of Swords realm. Realm or Rom. Steals treasures from kings, destroys cities and the dignities of men, tells of things past, present, and future, causes love between friends and foes. Number 40 is at the bottom. Is this like Robin Hood? No. Steals treasures from kings, destroys cities and the dignities of men, tells of things past, present, and future, causes love between friends and foes. I mean, the first two lines feels like it's just shifting and changing energy. Stealing treasure from kings and destroying cities and dignities of men. It's like it's a time of like what was built and established is going to fall. Um, Not all of it necessarily has to fall in a very like chaotic way. Like it doesn't have to descend into chaos. It can be like a productive conversation. Like, hey, like this thing that we used to do back in the day, well, has changed, our customer base has changed, and it's not going to work anymore. So it's time for us to like rebrand if we want to stay relevant and if we want to stay in business. We can bang our heads against the wall and keep doing things the way that we always did it and then eventually be forced out of business, or we can change with the times because the times are changing. And then at the top of the deck again, it's Murmur that teaches philosophy perfectly. I love that it says perfectly. Like it doesn't just because some of these cards and like it's the occult tarot. So you're like, okay, you say that you teach this, or you say that you like reveal that, but is it the truth? But perfectly makes it feel like it's true. Bring souls back from the dead to answer questions. So that's learning from our past. Or it's like it's how the past can inform the future, but it's not the past informing a future in a way that is restrictive and disharmonious at all. Maybe the past informing the future can be like, okay, well, like what made us so successful in the past? Like maybe there was something that the company was doing. It was like it was filling a need in a community that nothing else was filling. But enough time has passed. It's like now there's options. You're not the only one that's doing that anymore. So it's almost like, well, can you tap into the community or the collective again to see if there isn't anything else that is of need now that you can feel? It's almost like in some cases and instances, maybe the things that made us successful in the past, or maybe the things that didn't work in the past. Like if it was a success, maybe we can adapt the strategy and find another means to success. If it was a failure, maybe the changing of time has made it so that it'll be successful now. Maybe it was ahead of its time at that time, but now humanity is ready or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. Take that one as it resonates because again, I didn't even end up using these decks, which is fine. You know, I guess it's good to just have the option. Ooh, it is. I love watching. I love watching the growth. Let's all grow together. I'm gonna put this back. So I guess that's it. I hope y'all have an amazing whatever one can see this. Thank you, Eve and Sandra and Holly and Steph for being here, stopping in. If you watch this, I hope you got something out of it. If you pulled along with me, I really hope you got something out of it. And again, it's kind of sort of open. This is to open the door and your guidance, intuition, divine team can take over and put you further down whatever path this may have illuminated, since it's the illuminator, um, or whatever, you know. So there's some really interesting stuff to be discovered apparently right now, and like I think. Mm, this is like, no, I think it might be. I think it's going to be. Well, I already talked about it with the Five of Swords. I think there is a part of this that is so much about empowerment and putting you in your place. And your place is not on the ground groveling beneath anybody for any reason. It's like it's putting you on your place on a pedestal, but it's also at the same time realizing that like everyone else also has a pedestal. You know what I mean? And it goes back to what I was feeling of like it's empowering you, but at the same time, it's important to recognize other empowered individuals, just like people in general, honestly, because nothing makes us any better than anybody else. But it's not that we have to be like overly humble and downplay ourselves, our gifts, our abilities, because we don't do anyone, we do other people less good when we're in our full authenticity. And it's okay for you to know how awesome you are. And it's okay for you to operate in that. But again, understand that it doesn't necessarily, not necessarily, it doesn't make you any better than anybody else because we all have something. You know what I mean? And so maybe I'm projecting that little piece, in the way that I communicated it. But like the Three of Pentacles extends outside of just ourselves. It's like we reach a Three of Pentacles harmony within ourselves, where our light and our dark come into a balance to make us the most luminous, whole, authentic version of ourselves. But then we come into cooperation with other people. You know what I mean? So there you go. No problem. Love you all. Thanks again. You're welcome. And I will catch y'all the next time I catch y'all. If Russ is still live, Russ was live. If he's not, catch the replay. Mutable signs, especially if you're a mutable sign. Maybe he hasn't done Pisces yet. So I'm going to go see if that's a thing. So I don't know. All right. Bye.